Hi, coaches. This is Ryan Albin. Those who are new, I'm the one that's been talking to you through, this text. I'm making this video just to kind of keep everybody on the same page. We have a lot of, coaches that are coming back, which I'm incredibly grateful for. But we have some new coaches too. So I just want to make this one video so you can go back if you have any questions. Um, I guess one thing to remember is like this league has been around for 20 plus years. We've ran it through Parks and Rec for 11 or so more years. I don't even know. My brain's a little foggy. But every year we kind of learn from our mistakes and change it. So we do have some edits for this year too. Number one being we're going to have games on SNSN online, which I'll get to when the schedule comes out. But another thing that to remember is we're successful because of you, like the coaches, making that connection with the kids. And, what we try to do is every team that you are coaching, we're asking you to kind of approach it as a family type of atmosphere. Like those who are on the same team, like the first talk you should have with them is like you're now friends. Like if you see each other in the hallway, like you are on the same team, we're together on this. And make sure they're friendly in and outside of school. If you want to have groups, outings, like I've had teams go out for dinner and stuff together, that's wonderful. I also encourage open gym times, which I'll explain coming up. But basically we have slots of time that you can reserve as a coach to have extra time in the gym. So a lot of that really adds to it. But this actual programs ran differently than other leagues. I understand that volunteers' time is very important. So you do have your practices and games on one day a week. We also offer Skyhawk clinics during the week that if you have any players that are not developed as much as others, I go to their parents and say, hey, little Johnny really should be going to this clinic because it's going to really help him develop more experience on the court. Um, so let me just kind of jump into it. If you ever have questions like from your parents that you really don't know, send them here. This is grizzledrec.org. It goes to grizzlyfs.com, but it's the same exact website. It's grizzledrec for recreation.org. It's actually over here. You need to go to it. And then this is our main page. Just scroll down and tell them click on youth basketball, which could be there or it's also in a menu, but youth basketball. And then this is your page. This is kind of like what to go to if you have a question or if your parents do. So the most common question we have is the player development, like the player scouting clinic. Our league starts off with scouting clinic, which means each age comes in, and new this year is not more than one age. It's going to be one age per time slot. So like age 5 is Monday at November 21st at 5:30. That's new because we're trying to keep less people on the court because we need to scout. Like we have to make sure the better players are kind of, we know who they are, so they're not all on the same team. Nothing ruins a league more than having a dominant team. In fact, we've had parents not sign up this year because of issues last year. And then if you notice, I did a survey. Like the most outstanding feedback I got from parents is dominant players, like dominant teams that just completely killed everybody else. So I'm trying not to do that again because that really is not good for anybody. So with that said, we have our player clinics that we have a couple of changes to. This year, we have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Those are for the littler kids. The littler kids, a little bit easier to scout. Not everybody is outstanding. You will have some athletes that you can tell right away that are like, wow, that kid's really good. We probably shouldn't put two of the same skill set on the same team because they're going to blow out everybody. But the bigger picture is really the Saturday, November 26th and Sunday. So if you are, the younger kids, I do need you to come to this player clinic because I need your help really, and I need you to help me scout. Whereas for Saturday and Sunday, I really could use everybody if you can make it, especially those who have coached prior that know the players that could help us, scout and separate who the best players are. We also have a new set of eyes on the kids this year. It's the Hoop Academy is going to come and actually help us figure out who the top players are through like 3-on-3 drills and things like that, to see who really rises, to make sure those players are not all put in the same team. So for your team, uh, most common question is you are able to reserve two players, right? Just two. Um, Here's the catch. If your two players are the dominant players, and they're very obvious that they are based on other coaches, um, opinions and the Hoop Academies, the rest of your team is going to probably be C players, like need development players, because we can't do what we did last year. That would kill our league. It already hurt our reputation, honestly, so I don't want to do that anymore. But you are able to reserve two players. And then from the scouting, so on Saturday and Sunday, I really need everybody to come to help with this. Um, I will try to get you guys food and lunch and all that. But I really do need eyes. And this year too, it's new. We're going to be at the elementary school for both the clinics, so we don't have to go anywhere. Everybody would be one location. You also can lower the rims and raise the rims there. It's smaller, which is okay, but our groups are going to be smaller as well. Um, so I do need you to be there, and we're going to figure out who the teams are afterwards. Um, you'll see a text message come through that I need you in the text group to identify you two reserves. And I'm going to ask for the feedback from other coaches, like, is this a really good player? And then at the player clinic, we're going to observe there too, so we don't have any more dominant teams. And this affected the girls, 9 age group last year, and also the boys. I believe it was 7-8, or 7. I don't know. It's around 8 or so. But there was two teams that were very dominant. That the other teams really were trying to catch up, which never worked out. But the older teams too, like for the girls, there's issues there. But for the boys, there's a couple of dominant teams and two or one very undominant team. So I want to make sure we as coaches all work together on this. So more importantly, for the clinic, be there. Like if you're not there, then we have to draft your team, and God, we hope we do well. Last year we drafted a team and they did not do well at all. So please be there. That's what I'm asking for. Um, so over here on the left-hand side, creating the schedule, I'm going to try to create the whole schedule. I might get a month out first until I get some answers from the school for the rest of it. But the idea is by the end of the month to have the whole schedule for the whole season out. But if you're wondering like what times you're probably going to be at, so like boys, you're going to be on Wednesday or Fridays at 5:30. There's basic details here, like there's no refs because they're young and refs are expensive. And then on-court coaching, which means the head coach and assistants. So make sure you get assistant coaches are all going to be on the court to help people work together. New this year too, I think we're going to start the season for the 5 and 6 year olds, and then for the boys, and then the girls 5, 6, and 7, with 4 players on the court to start, so they kind of get an idea of space. Those who have coached before, what happens when there's 5 on 5. It's just clusters; they all just go together. So if you can have 4 on 4 and teach them, the guard positions and forward positions, and then fill in the center, when games start, it will be a huge help to you because you won't have chaos. You'll have less people on the court. So also this year we tried to keep. Last year we tried to keep our team smaller. This year we're going to go a little bit bigger because last year we had some teams that just didn't have enough players. Because if you have smaller teams and you get a couple sick people, you now don't have enough players, and other teams would like loan their players to that team so they can get through a game, which is nice. But your teams are gonna be bigger this year. All right, so going down, you'll see the boys are mostly on Saturdays, except for the younger kids. Girls are on Sundays. Um, you'll notice, like, let me just go through here. Boys 7 and 8 are practice scrimmage games. You know, there's refs for the games. On court coaching, which means you're now on the court. 9 and 10, things start changing. Your sideline coaching, you know, refs for games, of course. And 12, 13, of course, you're going to have refs. You're probably going to have 2 referees for the older kids, for boys and girls. So, and then the girls, same thing, 5, 6, 7 on court, no refs. 9, 10. You're going to start on court, and then you're actually going to transition to sideline coaching mid-season, so they can kind of get used to that. Because 10 through 13, you're going to be sideline coaching. 10 to 13 girls, we still have a low enrollment. A lot of things happen at that age. You know, cheer, indoor soccer, a bunch of stuff kind of jumps up that kind of take those players away. We also had a number of players not return because of last season in that age group, so that kind of hurt things too. So I'm trying to get a 4th team, because if you have 4 teams, it makes things easier. Because if you have 3 teams, one always gets a bye week, and you're only playing 2 other teams, which is not fun. So I'm trying to get enough players to get 4 teams going there. But I'm trying as hard as I can. If you know players that haven't signed up yet, get them to sign up before the 14th, please. But more than likely, that might be extended for the girls, this group, if you have somebody after the 14th, because I just really need players. So other than that, all the schedules, everything's posted here. On this website too, you'll see after the player clinic, we're gonna have you guys reach out to your team. So the idea is, especially for the the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday practices, we are hoping to have teams created for the boys. The girls, girls age 7 on Wednesday, you'll see girls age 7 will be here too. So more than likely, you'll be done and have your teams by Wednesday to text all your parents so you can get in touch. And the following week, of course, you'll have a schedule. So you'll have, you can point them here and they'll know when to meet. I'm trying to make communication as easy as possible for you, so you're not having a million different questions. Something I highly suggest is just create a text message group with your team. There's some apps you can use, like Remind, that you could do too, but honestly, text messaging a group is much easier. Just so that communication is in one spot, because if not, you'll get like a bunch of questions and it'll eat up all your text messaging. So with the boys, the Saturday, Sunday clinic, in a perfect world, we would have everything created by the time we leave. But this is going to require that all coaches are there and all coaches agree to the teams that we create, which is important. So if you do get feedback from other coaches that, hey, these players are really good, like this team's going to be a problem, we really have to listen to that. Like, this is very important that we listen to, is this really going to be fair? Because this program is 5 to 6 months, right? 1 day a week, which is cool, but if you are not doing well as a team, it's a very long, season for not doing well. So we want to make sure everybody's even. So we need coaches to talk to each other and make sure things are fair. And we have to keep an open mind about that too, because coaches are people and coaches are passionate and they want to make sure they're being heard, which is important. I do as well. So again, we work together on this, which is really cool. Skyhawk clinics, and this is what I talk to. If you have players that maybe are not the best but need more help, send them to one of these clinics to help them learn more. I don't think these clinics will be all that helpful for your very highly, trained kids or athletes. but they're welcome to go too. Just remember, and you can tell this to your parents too, if there's a behavioral issue with a player at these clinics, they're not allowed to return. So again, they're staffed by the Skyhawks. We have to respect them and their time. But there's no extra fee for this. It's all included in on the program. So the jerseys I put up here too, everybody kind of got through that. Um, Jerseys are a little bit different. They're the same ones as last year, but we didn't have a fitting guide last year, so I made sure I put one in here this year, just to make sure everybody's fit. Because we're probably gonna get shirts or something neat based on sponsorships. So I want to make sure the sizing is right. Um, so other than that, the program itself does last until April 1st ish. We try not to go past the 3rd because of spring sports. We can't use the gyms and stuff anymore. So with that said, the only change this year is to do with the boys 5 and 6 and the girls 5 and 6 and 7. Based on coaches' feedback from last year, that league will not go until April. They'll actually end probably early March, because it is a lot of work. They're younger kids. A lot of them actually start to not show up after March just because of life is busy. So we just want to make sure that we have enough time with them. So that will be ending earlier than everybody else in the season. The other big change is on the schedule. You're actually going to have, well, I guess for the new coaches, each scheduled session. So say if you're like girls ages 8 and 9, right? And your session is going to be on 2:05 to 4:05 because it's either that one or this one, depending on the weekend. That 2 hour block actually includes a practice beforehand and the game after. I also staggered games. So in the past, referees didn't want to sign up for games because there was hour blocks and they didn't want to wait around. This year, every game is going to have a 15-minute, 20-minute transition. So I'm hoping to get all those coaches, I mean, all those referees to sign up because it's bing, bing, bing. You know, it's a good payday for a referee. But on the other end, too, it's really hard to get referees because a lot of them left after COVID. So we want to make sure it works out. So something to think about is yes, it's 2 hours for most people, but I mean for some groups, boys 5 and 6, it's an hour. You know, sometimes you might have a game, sometimes you might have a scrimmage. Sometimes you may have a practice only, sometimes you may have a scrimmage. But really, it's up to the coaches to figure out, hey, do you want to scrimmage today the whole time? Honestly, that's the best way to learn is through scrimmaging. The kids, you know, get them more, you know, experience. So you know, boys 5, 6, girls 6, 5, 6, 7. When you think of each like block of time, you have to remember there's 2 teams on court. So it's half court, right? You're practicing half and half. So it can get loud. Remember that, especially at the elementary school. But you also can use that time together, right, to work on drills together. So if you're a new coach and you maybe have questions, feel free to ask experienced coaches either in our meeting that's coming up, or on the court during practice. Maybe you can run drills together, you know, so you kind of learn more, you know, ideas. Another thing to do if you're a new coach, just go on YouTube and just look up drills and put the age of the kid. There's so many videos out there. The idea is just focusing. I think, and the coaches might agree with me on this, but one of the biggest hurdles for the younger kids, like 5, 6, 7, and 8, is the anxiety that comes in a game. So what I mean by that is, you know, you went through practices, you talked about all the things, but unless they experience like having a ball and having all the kids run after you trying to get the ball and trying to smack it away, um, until you have that experience, the kids don't understand it and then they freeze during the game. So the more scrimmaging and game type scenarios, so if you have 5-on-5 on your own team, have them scrimmage all the time because it gives them more experience and they'll do better in the games. They won't get frozen. They'll get used to, the competitiveness of a game. All right, and one of the last things I'm going to say is I'm going to put up the ruling, all the rules that we did last year per age group. I have to edit it because I have to change a couple things on it. But that will be on here as well. And nothing really major for changes for that. Just remember, if your team, is up, say you're up by, 5 or more points, please figure out a way to change around your team a little bit so you're not now turning that into like a 10-point lead. Like slowing down the game, making your better players pass off and, learn how to get assists might be a good way to, calm down on having a blowout. But again, our huge commitment in the very beginning, which all starts on this really important, time called the scouting clinic, is to make sure your teams are fair. So we don't have this issue like this. So we don't have to slow down a game or a pace of the game. And the last scheduling change this year is you will have a few days that are just games, like game after game after game. These are going to be your live game days. These will be broadcast on SN Online. I'm working with them to include questionnaires that we're going to give the kids. So, like the commentators on SNSN could actually read the answers from your kids. They may ask you for an interview. They may ask your kids for an interview. So any way they can fill in content, like content time, create new things to add and to edit in is helpful. So please feel free to talk to Mike and his staff at SNSN when they're there for game days, which will also be on the schedule too. We also have a photo shoot coming up. I'll let you know when that's closer. But again, the other huge thing about this program that not everybody does is every player gets a free photo. It's all part of it. So the idea is to remove the option that a parent can't get a photo of their child because they can't afford it. We actually get them for them. So everybody gets a photo, which also means everybody has to go to the photo shoot, right? If they don't, you don't have a complete team, picture, because you as coaches get a team photo too for free, plus your kids' photos, of course. So just remember that we're trying to get people to player, getting them to actual photo shoots is very important. And it was a struggle last year, but if you were here last year, you saw something really strange. What they did is they took individual photos of every player and you as a coach, and they actually photoshopped them together and created their own team photo, which is kind of neat. It's fun. So they're going to do that again this year. So with that said, please, if you have any questions, text me back. I will text you this link, this video through your text group. Talk to the other coaches. Make sure teams are fair. And I'm going to be there for every scouting portion so we can figure this out together. But I really need coaches to be open and honest of if a team is going to be dominant in the beginning, how can we make sure they're not, right? So I hope you are well and text me if you need anything at all. Enjoy your day.